Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for sharing in this time with us. And I'm gonna give it a minute. I know it's a little different for me because I'm used to um, going live on both Instagram and Facebook. But those of you who saw last week's Mind the Mental Monday, you know that Instagram sort of banned me from going live, or anybody really, not just me, but anybody who doesn't have at least 1,000 followers on Instagram. So, that's okay. I'll still be here on Facebook and on YouTube. So, looking forward to just continuing to get the Mind the Mental messages out. It's very important. I feel like it's always been, mental health has always been an important topic, and it's just becoming more and more necessary as time goes by. And so I'm happy to still be in this space. I am, have received and that calling to be a mental health advocate. And so, I'm excited about what I do. And it doesn't matter if to me, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter because, I put work into doing these broadcasts. And I'm going to be sitting like this a lot because I'm having like a neck issue. I think I might have like a pinched nerve or something, but I'm still working out what the issue is. So if you see me like just kind of resting on my hands, it's not that I'm like bored or something. It actually relieves the pressure from that part of my neck and kind of helps me a little bit. So bear with me. I hope my body language is not saying I don't want to be here because I do. I'm actually happy to be here, and I'm happy to be back on my own computer. The last couple of weeks, I didn't have my computer, and it was just hard because, I was grateful that my husband had an extra computer and I could use his, but his settings, were conducive for things that he needed to do, and trying to use somebody else's laptop, personalized laptop can be kind of difficult. So I'm glad to have mine back and fully functioning and working. So I'm excited about that. I'm also in better spirits than I've been in a long time, and I'm very happy about that. I actually feel, I don't know, just better this today than I have honestly in the last couple of months. So a part of well, not a part of, but really all of what I want to deal with tonight is the importance of self-honesty. And I was out taking a walk. So this is a good thing. So my son he is an assistant strength and conditioning coach at Ole Miss for their men's basketball team, but he also is launching his own strength and conditioning online business, and where he will be working with not only athletes, but people that are just serious about making a change in their physical activity, and in their exercises. And then he has a lot of different levels of programming, got something for everybody, right? So you will, when he launches on August 10th, I will definitely be sharing his information and encouraging you to support the business, but also he really wants to help people, help to make a difference in people's lives and the way that they feel through strength and conditioning, through physical activity, and also in nutrition, helping out with nutritional kinds of needs as well. So one of the things what he wants me to do is to start off just being intentional about walking every day. And so that was so today, I had my therapy session today. And I told my therapist, I was like, in fact, after I was telling her I was getting ready to, get back into my exercise routine. And I was telling her my son wants me to exercise every day. I mean, to walk, to start off with just walking every day. And so I had decided that I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and start implementing that today. Well, surprise, surprise. One of the greatest surprises that ever is that uh, my grandchildren and their parents too came by, stopped by this evening because they were in the area. So I got to actually go do my walk with them, and so that was even more motivational. But as I was walking, one of the thoughts that came to my mind is that while every week on Mind the Mental Monday, I have very often talked about the importance of being intentional about what we do and how we do it. And in fact, for the last several years, I've talked about being intentional not only on Mind the Mental Monday, but also at my church with my Bible study class. Talk about the importance of being intentional about the things that we do. But if I were to be really honest with myself, okay, so let me go back a little bit. When I was meeting with my therapist today, my therapist is really great. So beyond just sort of us having our conversation about whatever, things I might be going through, or sometimes I'm not really going through anything, but it's just nice to kind of bounce ideas and issues off of her. She usually has um, exercises and activities that I can work on over the 2 week span and beyond, not just over the 2 week span between sessions, but like just things that I can be working on that will help me. The things that you put in your toolbox that I talk about on Mind the Mental Monday, right? Activities and just things, that can help on this mental health journey. And so what often happens to me is that first of all, them 2 weeks go by so fast. And before I know it, I look up and it's like, oh, I've got therapy today. And did I do anything that she suggested that I do in the last session? No. It's like I look up and it's like, oh my gosh, like I have not done not one thing. And so a couple of things came to mind in that. And as I was walking today, one is often very difficult to practice what you preach. It's much easier to tell other people, give other people ideas and suggestions for things that they can do to better their mental health journey or tools that they might be able to use to enhance their mental health. It's much more difficult to also practice the things that you suggest. The other thing that came to my mind that I shared with my therapist is that, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't do any good for me to go to therapy sessions every 2 weeks and for her to take the time to put these tools together and send them to me and give me instructions about how to use them, and then I do nothing with them. Because what good, is having a bunch of tools if you never use them? And then when you really need them, you're in a crisis mode, and because you haven't bothered to learn how to use the tools in those times where, things might not be as pressing and as anxiety producing, when you get to that level and when you get to those areas of feeling real anxious, well, now, you don't really have the tools to pull up because you haven't been utilizing them sort of all along or just in general. And so, and it's similar. I also say this in, to again, when I'm teaching Bible study. Like it's no, what is the point in going week after week after week, coming to Bible study, but then not utilizing the tools that you've learned to live according to the scriptures, according to the faith? What good is it, to just sit in a class and hear everything, that's going on and not put it to use? And so I was really convicted of what I was thinking as I was taking a walk today because especially over the last couple of months, I feel like, honestly, I'm gonna be really honest. Sometimes I honestly feel I feel like a fraud. Like I'm saying some things to other people to help other people, but not really utilizing those things for myself and not being intentional myself. And it's a really hard pill to swallow because I am motivated to be able to help other people and to be there and provide that guidance and provide that advice and help people along their journey. But when it comes to myself, I am not quite as intentional as I really need to be. So one of the things that I did in right in that session today, it was toward the end of the session, was I right there in the moment scheduled the daily time that I set aside a time daily to actually work on my like mental health stuff. Where the tools that she sends me almost every time, depending on whatever we talk about, she pulls out different tools that'll be useful for whatever the topic is and sends them to me. And I do at least take them and like put them in one place. I have one folder on my computer with all my, mental health things. And if you hear some noise in the background, just don't just mind. We're I'm in my TV room and hubby is about to fix some dinner for us. So I'm not mad at that. So that's hopefully you don't hear it just based on how I'm set up. But in case you do, just kind of let it go over your head. But anyway, so that was one of the things that I did, like I just right in that moment, and I am challenging myself to be intentional about, making sure that I take that set aside time to work on me, right? To do the things that I need to better myself. Um, so the other thing is that uh I it's really important, once you're actually honest with yourself, right? And honest about what you're doing or what you're not doing. Like I'm really big on, saying to myself, okay, Benita, you can't complain about what's going on. Like if there's something I don't like about my body, for example, I can't sit up and complain about it if I'm not taking the steps to do something about it, right? I mean, I could do that, but what good is that, right? Like sitting around complaining about yourself and what's not right and what you need to change is not a tool. That's not a tool in your toolbox because that is something that's going to distract you from actually doing the work to make the changes in yourself that you need to make in order to have a more productive life. And so the other thing that I've added to my toolkit, which I've probably talked about here before, but is accountability and having like an accountability partner or multiple accountability partners who, can say to you, hey, you said you wanted to do this every day. Okay, have you done it yet? All right, when you going to do it? Let's go. Like let's get it. Because that is something that can really just help to charge you up and to be disciplined and consistent in the things that you need to do. And I think I mentioned this before too, but like, one of the things um that my son said, it's not his saying, but he got it from somewhere, but I just don't know the origin of this. What I'm going to paraphrase is not a quote, but I will paraphrase phrase that discipline is not feeling like doing something that you know you need to do, but doing it anyway. And that's something I haven't been doing in multiple areas of my life. And I've been wondering, like, why is it that I feel in the last, just I guess, a couple of months, I have just felt so like unmotivated, um, just not motivated, and not really feeling like what my purpose, like what my calling, like I've just been going through a lot of different struggles really over the last couple of months, mentally and spiritually, and then also physically in some ways. That has really gotten me had me kind of in a funk. I don't know a better way to say it, but just had me just not feeling really motivated or inspired to do some of the things that I had set out to do before. And so now I've kind of come to a place where I understand that there was a lot going on internally that I needed to deal with, and that it's okay. Like, you can't always deal with everything at once. But what I've really come to realize is that in order to move from a place of like complacency, a place of a lack of motivation or a lack of consistency, a lack of discipline, it starts with self-honesty. It starts with taking a real hard look at yourself and maybe even breaking down like what is really going on in your life in those moments, and maybe looking at the different pieces of our lives, because most of us, if not all of us, have like 1,000 things going on all at once and in different ways. We've got home, we've got work. Some people may have, children, whether they're young or adult. You might have organizations that you're a part of, in your faith organization, or you might be in some kind of, fraternal or Masonic, or, just different types of organizations that you might be a part of. And in each one of those, you might have a number of commitments. And so a part of self-honesty has you to take a real hard look at yourself and at all those different areas that you might have going on in your life, and really looking at like what is really necessary. Like what is something that really needs to happen, that I really need to do? And then what are some things that they're nice, it's cool to do that, but I don't absolutely have to do it. Or maybe I don't have to do it right now. Like, so, those things that putting that, uh, those things that you actually need to do like now versus those things that you can kind of put on hold for a little bit, knowing that you're going to come to them, and then putting timelines on those things to make sure that those things do get done. But at the same time, that you're not sort of racking your brain because there's only so much your brain can really, hold. There's only but so much, your brain can do at any one time. And I know that there are a lot of people who think that they can multitask. And especially in this culture, this American culture that we live in, most of us live in, we have this thing of thinking that we can do like a gazillion things at once. Well, our brains really are not designed for that. And even though we think we're doing a bunch of things at once, what's happening is it's like a bunch of half done stuff or not even half done. There are so many times where I've got a gazillion things, and then I start this thing, and then it's like, oh, but I got to do this thing, and then I stop doing this thing and move on to that thing, and then I stop doing that thing and move on to that thing. Well, that's really not multitasking. You're still only doing one thing at a time, and then by the end of the day, I look and it's like I have done nothing really. Or I've done a little piece, like a little small piece of each little thing, and have actually accomplished nothing. And so it's important to, when you are honest with yourself, and when you actually look internally at yourself and the things that you are trying to balance, really understanding, okay, what is really important and where am I really going to focus my attention? Well, you can't really come to that if you don't take some time for yourself. So I'm encouraging anybody who is listening to this, to take that time, like schedule that time with yourself and put it in your calendar, right? Like for me, if it's not in my calendar, it's just not happening. I'm one of those people that not only do I have to have it in my calendar, but I also have to have like sort of an alarm that goes off, and a notification that, hey, this is coming up. This is coming up in 2 hours. And then I got to do a second one that says, hey, this is coming up in 15 minutes. Like, okay, get it together. This is something you need to get done. So I have to be intentional with that. And that's something that I really try to be intentional with, is things that I know I need to do and be a part of, like making sure that it's in my calendar and making sure that I add those notifications and make sure so that they come up so that I remember. It helps me to remember, that, oh, this is important, because I'm one who, I'm in, whether it's for work or for church or for other things, like I'm always in meetings, right? I set up time for, different meetings or whatever throughout the day. But it's important to set that time up for myself too, like to meet with myself, to check in with myself. And I'm always telling you guys to check in with yourself. What are you? We do the whole, where are you on a scale from 1 to 10? I talk about the app, the health app on the phone, where, it pops up to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What kind of mood are you in? And then what is most impacting you? And it gives you a whole list of things. Is it, work? Is it some tasks you're doing? Is it spiritual? Is it family? Is it, just all these different things? And it causes you to what it does is it just makes you stop for a minute. Just stop and really assess, okay, where am I right now? Where am I mentally? And wherever you are, if you're in a mental space that you want to change, you can only change it by being intentional about it. You can only change it by being honest with yourself about where you are. Like I might want to, press that I am, doing great, but I might not really be doing great. I might really be neutral or below neutral. And I had to be honest about that, because I can't be helpful. It's kind of like going to the doctor, and not being completely honest about everything that is happening in your body, when you have things that are happening. If you're not completely honest with your doctor about what is happening in your body, there's little that your doctor can do, because they are operating off of half the information. And so whatever they give you is not going to address the root cause of whatever the issue is, because you're being secretive about whatever the real issues are because you're embarrassed. Well, they're a doctor. There's little that they haven't heard before, right? And they don't know your people. They're not following you on social media. If your doctor is following you, I don't know. Somebody's doctor might be following on social media. I think my dentist actually does follow me on social media, but I'm not concerned about her getting on social media and saying that something, what's going on in my mouth, because she could get sued for that, right? So, so they're not going to be out here telling, unless you give them permission to share with like your loved one, your spouse, or whomever, the details of your health information. They are legally bound to not do that. And so it would behoove us to be completely honest with what is happening in our bodies, because nobody else knows our bodies better than we do. Well, it's the same thing with our minds. Nobody knows what's going on in your head. Only you know that. And all that others know is the limited things that you decide to share with them. And so, unless you are really completely honest with yourself about where you are, about how things affect you, about what is impacting you in your life, about a variety of things, and it could be different things in different categories of your life. But unless you take that time out for yourself and really think through what is actually happening, then those when you go to your health professionals, whether it be a mental health professional, your therapist, or counselor, or your pastor, or your somebody that you work with, whatever the case might be, your doctor, whatever it is, the lawyer, whatever, right? There's little that they can do to really help you in a situation if you're not willing to be completely honest and vulnerable. And if you can't be vulnerable with your own self, then you're not able to really be vulnerable with anybody else. And so what happens, as we've shared before, is you sort of keep things pent up inside. You press it down, but when you press it down, you're not ripping it up, right? You can't press something down and think that that is going to kill it. You got to take it out by the root. As we said many times, but only way you can fully and really and truly get to the root of a situation that is going on inside of you is to actually get to yourself and take that time to think through it. So, so that is something that I've committed to do, in terms of like my committing to walking every day. It's much easier for me to do that on days that I go into the office because I walk a lot when I go to work. But when I'm at home, when I work from home, I don't. There are times I do have time to do it. It's not like I don't have time to do it. I just don't. And so I told my husband, hey, listen, I need you to get on me, make sure I walk every day. And he will, he will do it. Because it's something that I really need. I've got to really get back to it. I've got to get back to taking care of my physical self. I have not been doing the best job of that lately, and a lot of that has just been because I've just been in I've been in a mental space and a spiritual space really that I just have not done it. And So now I'm at a place where I feel like I'm on an upswing, and I'm happy to report that. I feel like I'm coming back. And and you will notice, I think, if you go back and look at Mind the Mental Monday, the last couple of Mind the Mental Mondays that I've done, that my spirit is not what it usually is. I'm not kind of as bubbly as I normally might be in doing Mind the Mental Monday. I'm a little more steady and monotone in a way. And that's just because that's just where I've been just unmotivated. So I am now, again, I'm on an upswing. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I do have a real desire, and I'm actually really motivated now to put into use the tools that I've been given and to actually work on myself and do the work. And there's a lot of areas where I know that I need to commit to doing the work, and where I need to not allow myself to get distracted, and where I need to stop allowing myself to like zone out, because I do that a lot. Um, it's I just yeah, and the bad part is that I actually know what I need to do. That's what makes it even worse. It's not that I'm uneducated about or ignorant of what I need to do and how the changes that I actually know that I need to make. It's that I know them and don't do them. And that is a place where I don't want to be. But I have to, like, I have to make up in my mind, and I have to be intentional about doing the work that I need to do to change those habits. Because now what has happened is a lot of the things that I know I need to do that I don't do is because I've created bad habits. And so, in order to create new habits that are good, I really have to be intentional about doing them every day. It takes like 20 to 30 days to create a habit. That's just one habit. So when you have multiple habits that you need to change, or that you need to work on, it can take some time, and so I know that that won't happen overnight, but I at least have to take the first step in saying, okay, enough. You got to get to a place of enough. That could have been a whole nother monument to Monday. Maybe I'll do that enough, like the place of enough. You have to get, when you engage in self-honesty, the importance of self-honesty is getting to that place of enough. Enough. Enough slacking on how you're eating. Enough slacking on not getting up and getting out the bed and doing the exercises that you need to do. Enough, not taking the time, setting aside the time to work on your mental health practices, or not to work on your goals, or even work on just setting some goals to reach for yourself. Like, you have to get to that point of I have had enough. And it's easy to get to that point with somebody else. Like when you if you're dealing with somebody else's stuff and you like enough. I'm tired of dealing with, XYZ. It's really easy to get to that place with somebody else's stuff. But when you do that hard look at yourself, when you again when that you pointing that finger and you look and you see it's three more fingers pointing back at you, you know doing that work, being honest and getting to a place of enough with yourself, um is hard. It's not easy. It's not an overnight thing. But it requires work. It requires intentionality, and it requires a desire to see yourself better, right? And so, given that hard look and understanding that, like, if you are operating from a place of mediocrity, which is where I feel like I've been operating for a long time, but that God put you on this earth and put a purpose in you, that 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 he really gave to you, but then you see other people doing that same thing that he put in you almost 10 years ago to do, but because of a variety of things, you just didn't get it done. That's on you, right? That's on me. And so, doing that real hard introspection, it's not easy, but it is necessary. And it is not, it's not coming from a place of, when you're doing that self-honesty, it's not to beat yourself up, okay? It's not to beat yourself up about what you didn't do. Because guess what? Whatever you didn't do is in the past. You didn't do it. Okay, right. It's nothing you can change about it now. There's literally nothing you can do to change something that you didn't do yesterday. It's gone. But today is here. And you have today, right? And so you can say, okay, well, today I'm going to take one step. That's all it takes is today I'm going to take one step. When you get to the next day, if God grants you the next day, you can say, okay, guess what? I took a step yesterday. Today I'm going to take two steps, right? And gradually, you will get yourself to the place where you need to be, to make the things happen that inspire you, that motivate you, that is going to be a benefit to the masses, maybe, right? But you have to start with that one step. And that one step, the first step for me tonight was just self-honesty. Just, going on that walk. And in that walk, because what happens when I was walking, when I was doing that like consistently, I would always hear from the Holy Spirit, and I would get downloads of things, and I would really have a vision. Like I feel like I've been feeling lately like I have no vision, like for where I'm going, what's next, I don't have a vision for it, but I actually do. Like I've been given the vision. It's just that I have not been putting in the work toward the vision. So there's no sense in seeing where to go, but then you cut off your legs so that you can't move, right? Like when you see the vision, you gotta give it legs, and you gotta do that intentionally, one step at a time to get to it, right? So I've said a whole lot tonight. I really want to encourage anyone who is listening that if you have gotten to a space or a place where you feel uninspired, where you feel not motivated, where you feel like you have just been sitting on your laurels and not doing things that you know would be helpful to you, that you know you need to do, I'm encouraging you to first take the first step of looking introspectively and doing that self-honesty check, being honest with yourself. Um, and then once you're honest with yourself, you know, take the one step of the different areas where you, because it's different areas. It's not just we are complicated people, and we are people who have a lot of different areas of life. We wear a lot of different hats, and we have a lot of different relationships and things that we are involved in, whether it be work related or home or side hustle, whatever the case might be. We are made up of a lot of different components, and a lot of us are doing a lot of different things. It is harder even to do it in the face of it's particularly for those of us people of color in the current political climate that we're in, where we are like seeing just erasure of a lot of things that our ancestors put in place for us to be able to advance. In the face of all of that, it's even harder to do that self-check and to really try to take steps forward, because you might be afraid of steps that you're going to take backwards. But I preached a sermon yesterday called Generational Wealth. And so for those who are in the faith community, particularly in the Christian faith community, one of the things that we know that we can count on is that our Lord and Savior gave us generational wealth. So we know that our faith, um, our scriptures can motivate us. Our prayer life can motivate us. That, it's important to make sure that make those things central, that we seek first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness, because everything else is going to be added. And guess what? That generational wealth is not just for this earth, but it is for all of eternity, right? So, um, you can check it out on Vision of Hope's uh, page. But I just want to encourage us that we don't have to remain stagnant, right? And we don't have to um, just kind of sit on our laurels and not when we feel like we don't have the energy to move forward in the various aspects of our lives that we want to move forward in, that we can look at ourselves and we can make a plan. But once we make the plan to move forward, we have to do it. It just doesn't do anything to make a plan, to have a vision, and then not move toward it. And just sit and think that it's just gonna happen. It's not, right? It's not just gonna happen. You gotta be intentional. You gotta do it, right? You gotta take the action steps to get there. So, um, please, I want you over this next week or so to think about this. Think about your self-honesty check. And I want you to let me know in the comments, um, when you're gonna plan to start your self-honesty check. There was a song out many years ago. It's a house song that um it's not really a house song, I don't think. But it's one that I just heard, I think yesterday, that I was like, oh, I haven't heard that in a long time. And the lyrics say, I see you're down, when you gonna get up? And it was like, oh, it hit me because it was kind of like, it felt like it was speaking to me directly. I see you're down, but when you gonna get up? Like, okay, not life knocks us down sometimes. Life throws some humdingers at us sometimes. Sometimes life throws those medicine balls that they in the gym they throw, and the person got to like catch it, and it's like it helps to strengthen their core. Well, sometimes life will throw at us a medicine ball, but it will help to strengthen us in the long run. And when we see it that way, as opposed to just something being thrown at us, but we real recognize that whatever it is, it is going to strengthen the very core of us, which is going to help us to stand stronger, and it's going to help us to move better, and it's going to help us to advance the things that we need to advance in our lives. When we recognize that we don't have to stay down, we can intentionally get up. My little grandbaby is just learning how to take her first steps, and she's at a place where she'll take a couple steps and she'll fall. And sometimes she'll fall and then she'll just start crawling. But there are other times that she will stand up and she'll take a couple steps and she'll fall. And as soon as she falls, she bounce right back up and try to take a couple more steps. Like, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm not going to let this gravity pull me down and keep me down. I'm going to intentionally get up. So when you see yourself down, ask yourself that question, when you going to get up? Because that's a part of that self-honesty check. All right? All right. So that's the point. When we mind the mental, yeah, we're going to have some days where we're down. But guess what? Nothing is going to keep us down. We're going to get up. All right. So that's it. That's it. That's all I got for tonight. I hope that it has been helpful to you. It has been helpful to me. It is helpful for me to be vulnerable with with whoever sees this. It's not always easy. But tonight was I just needed to do that in the hope that my vulnerability will encourage someone else to be vulnerable with yourself and to do the check, to look at yourself and to see what you need to do to get up. All right. So, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I will be back next Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live, and it will be uploaded to YouTube. Again, if you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Even if you watch it on Facebook, please still subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm asking that favor. Please do share this with somebody else. Share it with your network. That would be helpful to me. If you're not following on Instagram, go follow over there too. That also will be helpful. And let's get these messages out because I don't believe God gave them to me for them to just remain small, right? I really believe that um, people can benefit from them, and if you're benefiting from them, then it will be great if you share them with the people that you know and say, "Hey, tell them." Go to her Facebook page and follow her there. Go to her YouTube channel and follow her um, to get these messages out. Because, hey, we can mind the mental together. How about that? We can be one big community and help each other. All right. So thank you, those of you who tune in, and thank you for the comments that you leave. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the shares and all of that good stuff. So we do, we want to try to get to at least a minimum of 1,000 views per night. And I thank my hubby for encouraging me that way. Um, so share, please, so that hopefully this message can be encouraging not only to you, but to others who may need to be encouraged to mind the mental. All right. So be blessed, and Lord willing, the creek don't rise. I'll see you next week.